My wife and I decided to rent this 2024 Mercedes Sprinter, and we've put about 1,500 miles on it so far, and we'll probably put another 15 to 1,700 miles on the way back home. And I was going through the owner's manual, and I found a lot of stuff that you really need to know if you're thinking about buying one of these, because as most people know now, diesel engines are not what they used to be 30 years ago. So there's a lot of things you have to do today because the fuel standards have changed, and because of all the extra emissions equipment, there's just a lot of things that will guarantee a failure in the future. So I hope this video will be helpful for those people starting out their research if you're thinking about diesel versus gas. And I think for most people, they know that these only come in diesel. So this is definitely going to be a good video if you're thinking about picking the Mercedes Sprinter. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into the video. If you are looking at the Mercedes Sprinter, you do have two engine options. They're going to both be a 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged engine. One's a standard output, one's a high output. The standard output engine is going to have 170 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. The high output version is going to have 211 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now, both engines are mated to a 9-speed transmission, and here's what I'll tell you. I was a little concerned about this configuration simply because of how big this van is, right? We got it weighed at a cat scale. It was 8,000 pounds even. On the way home, we are bringing our kids with us, so it'll be about 82 to 8,300 pounds. So not a big difference. And this is going to have a 9,000 pound gross fuel weight rating. So we did go up a 6% grade. And shockingly, it did pretty darn good. It maintained 70 miles an hour, which I was shocked by. And so with that being said, the main reason why I'm doing this video is because most people will probably pick this van because of the maintenance schedule. And here's what I'll tell you. Whatever you do not follow that maintenance schedule. One of my favorite things about this Sprinter is the information they give you in this screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and push the start button one time. This is like the accessory mode. If you push it again, you'll see the preheat. It just went away. And because this is a diesel, diesels are not like gasoline engines. You have to get the combustion hot, and that indicator has to go away before you start the engine, because diesels need heat for combustion. Gasoline engines use spark, right? So let's go ahead and start it up. That's one thing you have to understand. You can't just get in here, hit the button, start it up. You have to let that combustion heat up first, okay? And I'll explain again here why in a second, why that's important. Now I'm already in the service menu, so I like this system here. They have updated it on the newer model Sprinters, but for now, you guys will see, if you go under service, and if you scroll down to I don't know how to say that, but yeah, this is showing you the services here. So it says service begin 12,100 miles. Okay, so anytime you're looking to do maintenance on these guys here, most people probably don't check their engine oil, and that's okay, because with the Mercedes Sprinter, you don't have a dipstick under the hood. You now have a menu under this service screen to check the engine oil, but it says here engine oil level, drive until the engine is warm, basically, so that way you get an accurate reading for the engine oil level. So you're not supposed to add engine oil until the engine is warm, basically. Okay, so let's talk about this service interval really quickly. So this is the Mercedes maintenance and service quick menu. Okay, so if you're new to diesels, if I remember, I will put this in the description below. I highly recommend, if you're thinking about using one of these vans for camping purposes, you follow my recommendations in this video. I think that by doing so, you will pretty much reduce any issues, or I would say any potential issues you may have, because I think that 2 years, 20,000 miles is just too long. And if you're someone who's like, I don't care, I'm going to run that maintenance schedule because that's what I want to do, then I'll recommend an oil analysis to you in this video, because if you're going to go that long, you need to at the very least know, where the oil life is, because Mercedes does recommend that you use only their oil filter. So they have a fleece oil filter as opposed to a paper filter due to longer sprinter to your 20,000 mile service intervals. So you need to understand that. You also see that they do recommend a 0W30 or a 5W30. So I don't think that they have a block heater for these. And because of the oil viscosity, you probably will be okay not necessarily running a block heater. But I would recommend looking into like maybe a oil pan heater. That way, again, you can get that oil flowing through the engine a lot quicker, because it's still going to flow a little bit slower when it's really, really cold outside, okay? But yeah, let's just go ahead and scroll down here. So you guys see, this is pretty much everything that they're recommending to you to do. Shows you the service brake and parking brake functions. So you're supposed to check these things and just pause. I'm not going to go through all this. They do talk about replacing the dust filter and also the charcoal filter. What is that? Every 4 years, 40,000 miles. So a lot of these things do have a pretty long service life. Down below here, change engine oil and oil filter every 2 years or 20,000 miles. That's the A schedule, and the B schedule every 4 years, 40,000 miles. That is definitely long. They also show the replace the fuel filter every 2 years or 20,000 miles. And I would say that's probably okay. And then right down here, replace and flush the brakes every 2 years, replace an engine air filter every 60,000 miles or 4 years, and then so on and so forth. Now, I almost forgot to mention, for your front and rear diff, transfer case, and transmission, you're supposed to change those fluids on your first B service, which is 4 years, 40,000 miles. Now, if you're someone that's going off-road at low speeds, climbing up really steep grades, towing a trailer, I would recommend probably do it at 30,000, and then you can probably do it every 60,000 miles. So I would cut that down too, just as a humble opinion, okay? Now, most people buy these obviously to go traveling, camping, and the last thing you want is to have a check engine light come up on this rig, right? You don't want that. And some of you guys might think Mercedes is doing you a service by extending the oil change interval. They did engineer the vehicle, right? So why would they tell you to go so long if it was bad for the engine? And that's a really good question. I totally understand you questioning me by telling you to go shorter on the intervals, because who am I? I'm just some YouTube guy with a camera. But let me explain why I recommend you do your services probably a lot sooner. When Mercedes manufactured these engines, they ran those service intervals based off of their testing, right? Everyone uses their engines differently. Some people are going to be idling a lot more than others. And unfortunately, if you're someone who idles a lot, well, Mercedes tells you not to do that. Did you know that? You don't have to take my word for it, but in that manual that I showed you from Mercedes, shows it right here. Why is it important to keep idling time to a minimum? Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but it says at the very last point, allowing the engine to idle without monitoring the DPF level to ensure regenerations are performed can lead to expensive emission control component failures that may not be covered under Mercedes-Benz warranty. Now, your next question might be, well, what the heck is a regeneration process? That's a good question, actually. Let's go ahead and go through the menu. So we're going to go over to service again. And at the very bottom, you'll see your particulate filter. So on this one, it shows it's at 62%. Once it hits 100%, it'll say something like regeneration process active or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it says. And you want to keep driving until this goes down to like 6% or less. Sometimes it goes down to 4%. I haven't seen it go quite down to 0%. And sadly, even when the vehicle is under load, it's supposed to burn off some of that soot. But what happens with the regeneration process is it has to heat that exhaust system up to like 1200 degrees. It does use some of your diesel fuel that you purchased to spray in there to help burn off that soot and turn it into ash, basically, to go out the tailpipe, basically. That's like the layman terms of how the system works. And if you're idling for long periods of time, if you're someone who doesn't really drive on the highway enough for at least an hour or so a day when you drive this fan, that DPF might stay high like this for long periods of time, and it's just not good for the system, which means you may have to pay out of pocket to get that system fixed. The other issue you have with idling is fuel dilution. As I said earlier, combustion for diesel engines is different from gasoline engines. They need heat. So when you're just sitting there idling, that's going to really affect the engine oil in this engine. So why is that the case? Some of you guys and girls out there don't even know what type of diesel fuel you're putting in your Mercedes Sprinter, right? You have no clue what you're putting in this van. And what happens is, if you're someone using B5 or B20, that stuff is not good for this van. Now it does say here, use ultra low sulfur highway diesel, max B20, or you can use B5 as well. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Whatever you do, avoid biodiesel, which is B20 or B5. Avoid it at all costs. Most people buying these vans are not going to be driving them like full time. Some people are just using this to go camping, so they sit for long periods of time probably. And if you're using B5 or B20, you're not supposed to let it sit for more than 4 weeks. And if you don't want to take my word for it, I'll just show it to you. We're back in the Mercedes manual here, so just in case you don't take my word for it, here we go. So we'll make sure you guys know we're still there. I haven't changed over to something else to try to prove a point, but it says here diesel fuel overview. So B5 and B20, we're gonna call that biodiesel. I highly recommend you don't use those two. I'm just telling you right now. You'll see why here in a second. Now they say they don't recommend renewable diesel, but I would venture to say in some cases you may not have a choice, especially if you're in California, because most of their fuel is renewable diesel now. Okay, and then they say additives. You have to be very careful with what additives you use. They do recommend like a winterization diesel fuel in the wintertime. And they say no anti-gel additives basically too. If you are going to use any type of additives, I recommend doing some research to make sure that the additive that you're using does not create like ash, because that's the only type of additive that could cause issues in the emissions components. But why do I say biodiesel is bad? Well, the cons outweigh the pros, and Mercedes is making that very clear to you. They're saying right here, the pros are offers good lubricity, which helps to maintain injection pump and injectors. It also says offers fairly high cetane ratings. I agree with both of those statements. Lubricity is higher with biodiesel. Same thing goes with cetane numbers. You do have a number probably higher than 45 when you're burning biodiesel. However, the cons are just too scary to overlook. You ready for this? B20 fuel has a quicker expiration time period. Do not leave B20 fuel in your tank when storing your RV. Max shelf life is 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So you have to find a way to burn out that fuel completely. And then you got to top off with the diesel number 2 to avoid having the issues that this crap is going to have inside of your fuel system and your engine. In other words, biodiesel creates a type of acid, and over time it can wear out the internals of your engine and cause issues in the fuel system. Your fuel system alone can cost more than your engine in some cases. Just keep that in mind. Also, should not be used in cold weather, and they say that it may reduce fuel economy. I don't know if I agree with the fuel economy thing. I think that's I don't know, that maybe that's the case, but I would like to know why that's the case. I don't agree with that. But it also says biomass causes oil dilution, could damage engine and fuel system due to increased contaminants, reduce idling times as much as possible due to oil dilution, reduce maintenance intervals by half for oil and fuel filter changes. Don't argue with me in the comment section. Mercedes basically told you in their manual that if you're idling or using biofuel, you need to cut that service down to half. I wonder why. And listen, what's so special about that engine that it can go 20,000 miles. What's so special about it? There's nothing special about that engine. And here's what I want you to understand. The main goal for Mercedes-Benz is to sell as many Sprinters as possible, right? That's their goal. So when you're at the RV dealer, one of the points the salesperson is going to make to you is, oh, you can go 2 years, 20,000 miles on the oil change. That's going to save you money, right? But here's what I'll tell you. Mercedes basically told you the truth. So when you have a warranty claim denied, well, the reason why is because you didn't read it. So yes, you do have to understand the state of your oil before you go 10,000, 20,000 miles, right? Doing an oil analysis will show you the total base number of that oil. And they'll give you recommendations for that oil, whether you should change it or if you're good to go. So I hope this video was helpful. As I said, I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to ruffle your feathers. I just want to try to give you something to think about. This is a 200,000 plus van. I don't want to have issues with this. When I'm going 1,500 miles to go see family in this thing, I don't want to have issues. So do the maintenance, understand the type of diesel fuel you're putting in there, and make sure you change your fuel filters probably a little bit sooner than 20K too, depending on the type of fuel you're using as well. See you guys in the next video.